Please give a really warm welcome to Mike Burdge. Thanks.
Hello. Thank you guys so much for coming out and listening. It's really important. I'm a good boyfriend. Hard stop. Good boyfriend. A couple years ago, I was over at a friend's house, and I was being a degenerate gambler socially and playing poker, of which it's not really important to the story, but I was winning, and I don't normally do that. I don't normally win, so this was very exciting. Again, not important, but I was. We're playing poker for about 2 hours, as one does when you're a degenerate, and I get a text from my girlfriend, my partner in life, Diana. Diana has a little kind of bit of a quick backstory that is needed. I met Diana working at a local coffee shop in Beacon. Some friends of mine ran it. They hired her. I had never met her before. And it really was one of those moments that you always think about, that it's not gonna actually happen to you, and that's not really how things work. It's just poetry, but I fell in love immediately. I fell for Diana so hard, and I was 100%, if not 99% sure she was gay. She was not. She was bi. We started talking to each other, and just on a very friendly basis. Nothing had ever kind of been planned or done, and we were at a bar, and I knew the bartender. I was drinking an old-fashioned. She asked me, oh, what's in an old-fashioned? And so I asked the bartender to make us 2 old-fashions, like right in front of us, and while he was making the old-fashions, I was mansplaining to her, like, what an old-fashioned is, and why it's special, and why it's so unique, and why I like it so much. And we only maybe got up to like the orange rimming when all of a sudden she grabbed me by the back of the head and kissed me out of nowhere. Full-on passionate Titanic kiss. It was nuts. It rocked my world. It's one of the best moments of my entire life to this day. Now, I find out the next day that Diana is allergic to life. She is allergic to just about everything that you can be allergic to, with some exceptions. She is allergic to soy, she's allergic to shellfish, all like the big characters. And one of the big ones is that she's allergic to nuts, peanuts in particular. So I find out that her actually kissing me was not just like a risk and dare of love and life. She didn't know if I had been eating peanuts for the past 2 days. Because peanuts, the way the oil works, it's like the protein, it's in your saliva, it can last up to 48 hours. So like you could just kiss somebody on the cheek, and if they're allergic to nuts and you had yourself a peanut butter sandwich 2 days ago, they could go into shock. So she took that risk and she explained it to me. She's like, so please no nuts. I hadn't eaten any nuts, even though I like nuts. I'm not a connoisseur. Peanuts are okay, pistachios are my favorite. I don't eat them anymore. It's sad, but the things we give up for love. Anyway, I get a text from Diana, and she says, hey, I'm going into shock because I just ate some soup that had peanuts in it without knowing. And she's usually very good at this. And we had been together at that point for about 4 or 5 years, and nothing had happened at all. She is a grown woman. She knows what not to eat and where to go and how to be safe with this allergy that she has. So I call her, and I get the story that she was working at a soup kitchen. She tried a soup that did not have any nuts in the ingredients, and apparently somebody had used some mole prepackaged seasoning that had nuts in it, and that was causing her to go into shock. So she EpiPenned, and she was driving herself to the closest hospital, which was St. Luke's over in Newburgh, right across the bridge. So now it was my job as good boyfriend to leave the game of poker that I was playing, which, again, it's not important, but I was winning. And that doesn't happen a lot. So the idea was, quick plan hatched. My friend Sarah came and picked me up, drove me over there so that I would be able to drive Diana's car home afterwards, because you can't drive yourself home after all of the medication and everything that they're going to give you in the emergency room at a hospital when you're going into shock due to being allergic to peanuts and eating peanuts. So Sarah drives me over, she drops me off. I'm in a whirlwind. It's one of the scariest moments of my entire life. And it seems so small and inconsequential now, but I was completely shook. I wasn't paying attention to anything. I got out of the car. I thanked Sarah. I walked directly into the hospital. I walk up to the counter and I say, "Hi, my name's Mike Burdge. I'm here to see my girlfriend, Diana DeMuro. She's in the emergency room. She's going into shock because she's allergic to peanuts, and she's going into shock." So I was told that I could go up and see her when she's ready, and they said, "What are you doing here?" And I say, "Hi, my name's Mike Burdge. I'm here. My girlfriend is going into shock because she ate peanuts. She's in the emergency room. Her name's Diana DeMuro." And they go, "The hospital is on lockdown." And I say, "What does that mean?" And as soon as that happens, and I'm not exaggerating this at all, the front doors all close and the lights go out in the hallway to the front doors leading up to the St. Luke's hospital entrance. There has been a gun shooting, and the victim has been brought up mere moments before I walked into the hospital, and he is up in the emergency room right now with my girlfriend. So my girlfriend is going through shock, and she's being treated right now, so don't worry, that's okay. She's being treated in the emergency room right now next to a person who is dying from a gunshot wound. This will get happier, I swear. So I decide, I asked the guy at the counter, I'm like, "What do I do?" And he's like, "You shouldn't have been able to even get in. It's been on lockdown for a while now." And I look outside and I notice that there are about 16 cop cars with sirens blaring, like not making any noise, just like a lot of lights, a lot of ambulances, and about 25, 30 people all like yelling and screaming at each other. I did not notice any of this walking into the hospital. So now they give me the option. They're like, "Well, you're in here. You can either wait in the waiting room or you can go wait outside with the others." And it is cold outside. So I say, "No, I don't want to go outside. I'll go wait in the waiting room." I walk into the waiting room, which I didn't know was the room right next to us, which has about 50 empty chairs. And the entire walls are windows. And in those windows are about those 25 people yelling and screaming, looking directly at me. I come to find out very quickly through my own astute observation that these are friends and family members of the gunshot victim who have been locked outside of the hospital for the past 15 minutes and denied access in, looking at an empty waiting room, and now there's me in there. So I sit down in a completely empty room with nothing but empty chairs, benches. There's no water cooler, there's no vending machine, there's nothing for me to do except watch the TV, which has Gone in 60 Seconds on it by Nick Cage. It's not important to the story. Or is it? And so I'm waiting there for about an hour. And in that hour, I'm texting Diana. My phone's about to die. I'm telling her what's going on. She's like, "Yeah, I know there's a guy with a gunshot wound in the ER with me. He's in the ER with me right now, and they're not paying attention to me." My phone dies. I tell her the last text I send is, "I'm waiting down here for you. When you get out, you'll be good to go. I've got you. Good boyfriend." My phone dies. About an hour goes by of me doing absolutely nothing to pass the time except watch Gone in 60 Seconds. And then they unlock the hospital. And everybody comes in, and they immediately come right up to me. They skip the guy at the counter. Maybe two people go to the guy at the counter and start talking. They come right up to me, and it is a group of about 22 people, and they've got some leaders. I can tell who they are. They're the ones in the front, and they look really angry, and they're the tallest. They come right up to me, and I'll never forget this. The leader of them looks at me, and he goes, "Who the fuck are you?" And I say, very courageously, "My girlfriend drank soup." Now, before I get to his reaction, I understand the mess up. You do not drink soup, you eat it. Even if it's a food, even if the way you consume soup is familiar and like how you would drink something, you eat soup, it's a food. It went by him, he had bigger fish to fry. He goes, "Your girlfriend what?" And I said, "My girlfriend drank soup." And then the second leader, who's even taller than him, she says, "Girlfriend? You don't have a girlfriend. You're gay." To which I respond, "Okay." And which I'm not. I'm not gay. Remember, good boyfriend, have a girlfriend. That's the whole point of this story. But I'd probably be good at it if I was, but I'm not, so it doesn't matter. So they they drop me real quick. They see that I'm nobody and I'm here for a completely different reason. They disperse amongst the chairs and sit down, start watching the TV, and I am standing. I refuse to sit even though there are 30 empty chairs. I'm just standing, doing nothing, absolutely nothing, just standing, looking at the ground, listening to everybody talk about Gone in 60 Seconds, Nick Cage, and also about the crisis that is happening up in the emergency room, kind of blaring it all out. I don't know what's going on. When all of a sudden, for some reason, because I like movies, kind of, into them, and somebody asks, what is this movie we're watching anyway? And I pipe up and I say, it's Gone in 60 Seconds. It's from 2000. It's a Jerry Bruckheimer movie with Nick Cage, Angelina Jolie. It was based off of a 1974 crime heist car chase movie. It's not that good. And they were like, oh, we really like it. I went back to just looking down at the ground because I learned my lesson very quickly. And then I was probably standing there for roughly about half an hour to another 45 minutes, just standing there, plenty of seats around, because I didn't want to leave because it was cold, and I couldn't leave because I had to give Diana a ride, and I'm going through all of these things in my head, and everybody's talking about gunshot wounds and Nicolas Cage, and all of this different stuff is going through my head, and all of a sudden Diana comes out from behind the forbidden counter where you're not allowed to go beyond that at all for any reason. She comes out and she looks insanely dazed and tired, like she just got done fighting for her life, which she did. And I ask her, hey, how'd it go? And she was like, I would like to go home now, please. So I take her home, I drive her home, I put her to bed. To this day, she still does not really remember all that much of what happened in the ER room, which is understandable. But again, the point of the story is that I am a good boyfriend because I left and I was winning poker. Not a big deal, but I'm a very good boyfriend, not gay, and I know that you eat soup, you don't drink it. Thank you guys very much.